funny at the screen. I'm not looking at you guys funny. I'm looking at the stuff on my computer screen funny. Okay, let's see if the share screen works. And I want to share my desktop. Where's the desktop option? Hopefully that's going to be it. No, I don't want to have, I want to share my screen. Okay, there, perfect. Okay, so what you're looking at right there is the flyer that was put together by the friends at the library. And there is this really pretty, well, first I should say it's going to be Friday, May 7th. Excuse me. Friday, May 7th from 1 to 2:30. And it's in conjunction with this thing called 10 Days of Connection, which I don't really know enough about that. Julie will have to maybe explain more about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to do what it exactly says right here on the flyer, artistic exploration of diversity. This is a piece of artwork that whoever put the flyer together found, and it's very beautiful, and it's a perfect explanation of exactly what we're going to do. We're going to just explore diversity in our surroundings. Now, what I want to show you next, if I go to the right thing, is, okay, this right here is something that I put together some time ago. It's an art project that I called A Day in My Life, and where I just did a bunch of little thumbnail sketches of different things that were going on in my day that particular day. And I had done this as a class with one of the other library branches, and I inserted this little one for our group, what we're doing here. So down in the bottom third, you can see, and in fact, I'll just, let's see if I can get back to the, there's what I put together. That's us. But you know, this was just putting together a bunch of stuff that had to do with the theme of A Day in My Life. So if we switch that out for the theme of diversity and being connected with the other cultures and stuff in our surroundings, then you could do this concept with that theme and come up with something like this beautiful picture. Let's see if I can enlarge it. It's not really gonna, or maybe if I go over here, nope, that didn't let me do that. Okay, well, I don't have access to all my controls because some of them are buried up behind the screen sharing thing. So I can't enlarge it, but you can see this. This is something that's kind of roughly divided off into 4 different quadrants. So you've got a section up here on the upper right-hand side where there's like maybe a farmhouse or something in the sun, and it's kind of rural. And on the left-hand upper side, it's more urban. And then there's some other different things going on in here. And even the face and the hair are divided up just to show diversity. And this is done on a flat piece of paper. Now, Jackie put together some things that I think she showed us last time we were together. We saw these things where she had kind of combined into one, almost like a symbol, all of the different cultures and ethnic symbolism to represent people in her neighborhood, I believe it was, she said. And she painted them on miscellaneous things like stones and seashells and pieces of bark, or these nifty little pods that fall off the trees around here. So you can find all kinds of cool things to paint on, and you can do this in any way that you like doing. But the idea is just to be mulling over and thinking of the different ways that we are all different, but we're all connected. And so that's what the project is about. And that's what we'll be doing on this day, Friday, May 7th. And I think I shared everything I wanted to share here.
Thanks, Christine.
Yep, that got it. So
I have a question.
Sharing. Yes.
I have a question. They can bring whatever they want to the class, like if it's the coconut or the rock, yes, or sea grape leaves or whatever you want to draw on and paint on. But is there anything that you would recommend? And Jackie, you chime in too. Is there any kind of markers or paints or anything that you would recommend other than our usual list?
I think it's going to be a free for all. Whatever you have,
Okay,
and whatever you
Jackie.
want to use.
I used acrylic. So on the stuff I did, I used acrylic. So that might help people too. Even just the little tiny bottles of acrylic, those
Yes.
little 99-cent bottles, those are great.
Okay.
I've been cleaning out my shed this past week, and I have a whole bunch of quart-sized cans of house paint. And I was thinking, what can I do with this paint? If you got a bunch of house paint, it'll work. And acrylic is probably a little bit better for this project, unless you're painting on paper, because being that it is water soluble, if your project would get wet later, it'll all wash off. So use acrylic or something more permanent if you're not painting on paper.
And one last thought before we get started on today's class, the day in the life that Christine showed you with all the various boxes of what she did in her day, that is the ink sketching and watercolor class that we're going to do on the 23rd. So I will send you the photo of that and the Zoom link and everything that'll be coming up. So
I think it's the 21st, but
I thought it was the
of May.
3rd. But
Well,
let me.
today's the 23rd, and I think
Yes, the 21st. I'm wrong. The 21st.
because I already made that mistake a couple of times.
Yep.
But that's why I was familiar with it.
Okay, so we're ready to go. And if everyone can go back to mute, and then Christine is going to begin the class. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right. First of all, I'll go ahead and spotlight myself. And what you will see, let's go to this picture because that link isn't, I put the link in the wrong place. It's going to have to live there. I didn't remember I moved that, but anyhow, ignore that link just for the time being. And I'm going to put my hair in a ponytail too because it's falling forward and bothering me. All right, today we're going to do some abstract fruit in a bowl. Now this, for me, painting abstract, let me just go back to here because I don't feel ready because I had so much trouble getting into the session today. It was weird, but whatever. I'm getting over it while I talk. Let me turn on my ceiling fan. And of course, my husband's been in here, so it's all changed and not set up right. And I just figured why the lighting isn't good because I didn't get this open. Sorry for not being quite the whole way ready. You probably just saw his shoes. Anyway, I'm not an abstract artist, so teaching an abstract class is kind of scary to me. Now, I had great fun with last week in the landscapes, but that was kind of easy. When I got to doing this fruit bowl thing, I thought, how am I going to paint an abstract fruit in a bowl? I know people do that. I've seen paintings of it. How am I going to get there? Because I'm going to keep wanting to paint real fruit in a real bowl. So I did a quick little study of abstract. And I say quick, it wasn't quick, but I spent a lot of time searching around things on the internet, watching other YouTube videos about it, what other artists have to say about it, and came up with a couple of things. First of all, you should know abstract is an extremely broad term. There's a whole lot of stuff that falls under the heading of abstract. Basically, you have realism on this side, abstract on, non-representational on this side, and abstract is like a slide in between the two. You can have degrees of abstract going all the way from realism towards non-representational. And non-representational means you're not painting something that's meant to have meaning outside of maybe conveying emotional something like a joy or anger or something. So abstract has a lot of stuff under it. And that link that I told you to ignore, let's see if I can get back to that. There we go. Okay, that link that's right across the bottom of the screen there, somewhere like right there. Okay, right in there. That is a link to an article that I found, which I'm going to show you some information from one page of this article, but it is a great article if you're really interested in studying abstract art. Write down that that link right there, and it'll be up. I'm going to switch over to here again, and it's tiny, but I think you can probably still see it good enough. And if Jackie or Julie, if either one of you could copy that over into the chat, that might be a good thing to have happen in case anybody wants it. And if you can't see it, just holler. I'll put it back to the other screen that has it written larger. And what I wanted to show you was right here, this one of the types of abstract that is covered in this article. It talks about line art, and that got me to thinking of a way to get to abstract, because we want to do a bowl of fruit. You see our reference photo there? There, right down below me. It's a bowl of fruit, mostly bananas and yellow fruit things, and it's a little boring, so I'm going to change that up a bit. But in reading about this line art, which combines abstract line drawings and kind of surrealism type of stuff, this was done a lot by an artist who I think the name is Joan Miro, but it's a man, so it's spelled Joan. I'm going to just say Joan because that's what it looks like. Miro, Miro. That artist did a lot of stuff in this style. And it's a great way to get over into abstract. So I got a lot of good information out of this article. It's called 10 Types of Abstract Art to Know and Use in Your Designs. I think the person that did this article was doing interior design or something, but I'll just flip through it really fast. What is abstract art and what are they useful for? And then there's these styles, paint, splatter and dripping, which a lot of us are kind of familiar with. We think of this when we think of abstract. Then there's block color, and there was several artists. I'm not going to try to tell you all of that because we don't have time today to make a big study of abstract. This is marbling, cubism. Cubism is big to be familiar with, and will help you to do your art. Line, Memphis style. I never even heard of that before, but it's cool. And abstract organic stuff. And then it gets into a little bit more weird stuff and surrealism and stuff I don't really understand. But again, I'm not really an abstract artist, but we can do abstract and do it great. So if you have time, look up that article, read it, you'll learn a lot. Now we're going to get from that bowl of fruit, we're going to start out and do something that looks like this. This is, let me zoom in for you. This is a bowl of fruit this is considered abstract. It's just not, it's not as far across the line over into non-representational. It's closer to realism or representational, but it's also not, this is my interpretation of that bowl of fruit. And if I put the reference back up there, you see the difference. This is not a realistic representation of that bowl of fruit right there, but it is a bowl of fruit. And so this is good enough to be considered abstract. The next thing we're going to do looks more like this. This is kind of, I took the line art thing, and we're going to jump right into this in a second here. But I wanted to flip through them really fast so you know where we're going. This is like line art. Excuse me for 1 second. I just glanced up and there's a thing on my screen that says someone is in the waiting room. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but anyway.
I got him in.
Okay, thank you. This is, we're going to take line art. We're going to do a thing called blind contour. Don't get scared. It's fun and easy, and there's a purpose to it. I'll explain that in a minute. We're going to go from that over into something which I think is much more like what maybe that artist Miro may have done, because I looked online at a lot of his artwork and it was similar to this. This to me is more of an abstract, but it's still my bowl of fruit. I don't know if you can see that progression there from that to that. It's still my bowl of fruit. And then we're going to take it all the way as far as I can go with it. And remember, I'm not really an abstract artist, but I can take that and take what I learned about abstract and go to this point. This is my bowl of fruit, or fruit in a bowl, in an abstract picture. So putting those all back in their little neat little piles here, we're going to start out with just drawing really fast. And I got to get the one of these. I got to make sure I've got the right paper. When we get to the splatter at the end, I have to have one of these that's going to hold a lot of water. So we'll make that one be the last one. You need, again, just like last week, about 4 pieces of paper would be great. They don't have to be large. You can take your regular sheet of watercolor paper and tear it in half and have 2. Mine are 6 by 9. Yours can be any size you want them to be. Okay, let's see. This one is going to go on here. This one will go on here. This one will go on here. That one goes on there. Okay, I got that organized. Now, I just want you to take a pencil and just look at that reference picture and draw it out as you see it, except for I will tell you, I thought all yellow fruit was boring. So I changed it to an apple and an orange, and I've got a peach back in there, and I threw some grapes in, and there's grapes on the ground, or I mean on the table, and you just like that. So just throw something in there, or actually, you know what? Let's see what time it is. For time's sake, let's just pretend we did this one. Okay, we've drawn a bowl of fruit that looks as close as we can get it to there, to that bowl of fruit right there. Just a bowl of fruit, just simply drawn. But don't pay we did pretend we didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the detail. And in fact, a bunch of your heads are down. I'm thinking maybe you want to go ahead and do this. So let's do it. Let's just you just draw looking at the picture. And you look at the picture, and for this one, you can look right back down at your paper that you're drawing on as well. And just get that drawn on there kind of quickly. Because we're not really looking for correct perspective or anything. We're just drawing something that's sort of representative of what we see in this bowl. I've got an apple and a lemon, and oops, I should have put my bananas in first. So there's a couple of bananas in that bowl. I'm going to put an orange right there. Erase that line that's in the way. Then let's see, I've got that peach back there. And it's got a stem sticking up out of it and a couple of leaves. Then I want to throw in some grapes piled on the top there. And I've got one hanging down just for fun, and a little heap of them on the ground over here. On the table, sorry, I keep saying ground. Now my bowl has a little blue stripe on it, so I'm going to put that. And in the picture it's red. Well, I like blue better, so I use that. All right, so that's all I needed to do for that. And then I would paint this just like normal painting. Just color the apple red, color the lemon yellow, color the peach, and you know, make this painted just like a regular picture. There is a degree of abstract to that. I have several others that I did also. This one is just a bowl of fruit. And let me zoom in here so you can see. I didn't take a lot of time to make them exactly realistic, because that was not the intention here. However, you can look at that and you can see that is very definitely a bowl of fruit, and it is pretty. This one right here is a bowl of cherries. I hope that you can see in this one, I really didn't try for realism in here at all. I didn't try to shade the bowl, the cherries in the bowl, and give them shape and form. I just painted them different colors of red and pink because it would be pretty, and it looks like a bowl of cherries or a bowl of red berries of some sort, without having much concern about making them look realistic. That counts for abstract. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to paint this one. We all know how to just paint that in. We're going to skip to the next piece, which is our first version of a line drawing. Now, this is blind contour. The things about blind contour, it can teach you, and by the way, don't start drawing this one yet, but get your paper ready to go. It can teach you to see things differently. It can teach you to see beauty in your line. Let me keep it scooted over here, and let's see if that light helps at all. It can teach you to see beauty in your line, even though your line is imperfect. It can also help you see that a confident line is prettier than one where you've tentatively worked to try to get it exactly perfect, and maybe you've drawn it and erased it and drawn it and erased it, trying to get it just exactly right. And there's some tension there that you probably don't want in your piece, because it's not going to be as pretty as a very confident line where you just confidently drew that lemon shape, and maybe you didn't get it exactly perfect. But you know what, if you've ever looked at lemons in the grocery store, when they got a whole heap of them in one pile, they don't all look the same. So just don't worry about it. What we're going to do here is an exercise called blind contour drawing. And this is something that if you will take the time to do this and practice this, excuse me, over time, you will really develop some confidence, and it will help you see in your drawing. So what I want you to do is get your paper and your pencil, and I want you to put your eyes on that bowl of fruit reference picture right over there. Look at the reference picture. Don't look at your paper. And I think, let's see, I'm going to put, which one of these do I want? I'll just put me like this. Okay. Oops, that gets rid of the reference photo. No good. I have one though somewhere. I thought it was that one.
That would make for an actually very interesting blind contour, Christine.
you don't even get to see the bowl of fruit. Okay, I have that in one of those, but I can't find it right now. So we're gonna have to do this one. Just don't look at my drawing. Don't look at your drawing. Put your pencil on your paper, look at the bowl of fruit. And now if this bothers you to do this, I will narrate what I'm doing, and you can listen to me and look at the bowl of fruit and draw along with me. If you don't need to do that, I prefer you don't. I prefer you just try this on your own right now. But if you don't think you quite got what I'm telling you, then I'll tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So ready, set, draw. I'm going to look at the bowl of fruit, and I'm going to start with drawing the bowl, and I'm going to start on the upper left side of the bowl, and I'm going to draw the bottom edge of the bowl. So draw down and around and up to, this is going to be hard because I can almost see my drawing while I'm looking at the reference. Anyway, went up to the upper right hand side. Now I'm going to put that scalloped line back across to the other to the left top edge of the bowl. Okay, that's the bowl drawn. Now I'm going to put the line on there for the stripe, and then I'm going to go to where I think the bottom of the bowl is without looking, no looking, go to where you think the bottom of the bowl is and draw that pedestal on there that holds the thing up. And I think I might have just gone off my paper edge, but whatever. Okay, so I think I've got the pedestal drawn on there, and I'm going to put that line for the stripe that's on there. Now I'm going to go back up to where I think the top edge of my bowl is, and I'm going to draw that banana. And I'm going to try to put a second banana in there. Now I've got to go back over to the left edge there, and in my picture, in my mind, I think there should be an apple right there. So I'm going to draw an apple instead of what I see there for fruit, and just draw my apple symbol, you know, whatever you think an apple would look like. Beside that, I'm going to put a lemon. Above those, I'm going to put that pear shape in, and the stem and the leaf that was on it. And then I've got somewhere over to the right of that lemon, there's an orange in my mind. So I've put a circle there for an orange. Now I'm ready to finish it up with just putting some grapes in there somewhere. So I'm piling in some grapes, and I'm going to put some over on the side here and put one hanging down. And then I'm going to find where I think the table to the left of the bowl is, and I'm not looking, I'm just going to where I think it is, and I'm going to pile up some grapes over there. And now I can put my pencil down because I drew everything on there. Now I'm look at my picture. It is so wonky looking. Let me just zoom in. Look at that. That one's even more wonky than this one turned out. But there's some beauty in there that I see. You can think I'm weird if you want to, but I see beauty in that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask, is there anyone bold enough that wants to show off their drawing? And if we have any takers, speak up so I can find you. And I will, let's see, let me remove the spotlight on me.
I will. This is Beth.
Okay, yeah, look at that one. That's cool looking.
I
Okay.
drew mine on brown, so I don't think you can see it.
Oh, it is hard to see.
Yeah, it's because it's on brown paper.
I'm going to hold mine up, but I did it very lightly, so I don't think you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
Here's
Okay.
mine.
That was fun.
Look at that one. That one's cool looking. I like that.
There you go.
Okay, so is everybody showed theirs that wanted to show theirs?
You missed mine.
Very nice, Bobby. I like it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to put me back on the spotlight again here, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do now is we're going to take our paint brushes. Oops, I forgot to get my paper towels out. We're going to take our paints, and we're going to paint this. And you know, it's not really gonna be easy as what it would have been to paint that first one if we had painted it in the one that we drew that looked like this. This one's pretty obvious what paint goes where. You know, because that's a red apple and that's a yellow banana. Well, now I'm going to have to find it in here and put color where I think it is. On yours, do the same thing. Find where you think it was, and remember that's sort of where we're headed. So if yours looks like this and it's recognizable, that is perfectly acceptable. In this one, my fruit's kind of floating. It's like levitating above the bowl in this one. In this one, it is totally mashed down into the bowl. So it's none of our pieces are going to look exactly the same. But what I want you to do is just go ahead and get your paintbrush. And if you want a background color, go ahead and put some water all over the background here. I forgot to draw a line for my table, so I'll just make that with my paint. So I'm going to just put my background color. I'm going to put a light green, like we've got a green wall back there. And I'm putting this green kind of behind my fruit bowl. And let's say that the wall comes down to here. Otherwise, my grapes right there are going to be flying, which, you know, we've already determined that that's acceptable. But I'm just kind of painting in and around where I think this fruit probably, in my drawing where it probably came to. And I just put a little bit of a messy color. Let's see, is this light helping or hurting? Let's leave it off for a minute. I think that might be easier to see the color. If you can't see, holler. I mean, because of the lighting. Now I'm going to just put some water here for the table, and I'm going to make my tabletop brown, sort of, so I'm using burnt sienna to just put a little bit of color on there for a table. Okay, I just slammed that in there. And now I'm going to switch to a round brush because I believe it's going to be easier to paint the fruit with the round brush. I'm going to start off with, I need a stripe on my bowl. On our reference, it's red. On my painting, it's blue. I like blue best. It's my favorite color. So I'm going to put a blue stripe right across there. And I've got another blue stripe in the pedestal or foot or base of the bowl. So there's my stripe for the bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get some bright yellow, and I'm going to put it on this this orange. And I've got a reason for doing that. I'll tell you in a minute. And my lemon is right down here, so I'm going to paint that with my lemon yellow color. Now I'm going to get some, oops, I should have put a little bit of that yellow right here on my peach as well. So I've got like an underpainting on the orange and the peach. Now to break it up a little, I'm going to use a different yellow color for my bananas. I have some quinacridone gold that I'm going to put on there. So I'm going to just paint this banana with this gold color. And then I'm going to take a little bit of violet color or purpley color and put it in the top part there. And I've got a lot of water on there, so that really spread into there. And you can see if I zoom in, it's kind of spreading out. It got in my orange, which I don't really want, but that's okay. I can fix that in a minute. Now I've got a red apple over in here somewhere. So I'm going to get some of my bright red, which is alizarin crimson. And I'm going to just paint that apple. I think that's a little too much color. Let me get some of that off there. Paint that apple on there. Again, it touched into the wet paint beside it, but we'll do what we need to do with that in a minute. I'm going to clean that color out of my brush, and I'm going to clean a little bit of that purple out of my orange, which currently is yellow, and I'm going to clean the banana color out of my lemon, so it's back to a lemon color. Now I'm going to take, while those things are drying, I'm going to get some green, some bright green that's like a sap green color, and paint the leaves that are coming off my peach, which is currently still yellow, but it is going to be a peach. So I'm just going to put sap green color right there. And you see, I'm really hurrying, and I'm not really trying to make this realistic, like with shading and stuff. Part of the deal with this abstract thing is that you just put bold color, almost like straight out of the tube bold color, and that is one of the hallmarks of some of the abstract artists, some of the method that they used. So there I've just got some leaf going there. Now I'm going to, this orange is dry enough. I'm going to get some Scarlet Lake, which is like a red-orange color, but it is too red to actually paint an orange. So let's see if you can see my palette here. I just got some of this red-orange color, and it's really too red to call that an orange. But if I paint a little bit of it over top of my yellow color and then rinse the excess out, and with the wet brush just kind of spread that out around over top of that yellow, the yellow shines through that red orange and makes my orange look more like an orange. And then I'm picking up a little bit of the color right there because that's going to be a grape. Okay, so now I've almost finished. I need to put the grapes in there, and I need some sort of brown, dark brown. I'm going to take some burnt sienna and mix it into this little puddle of purple violet that I have there. And that's That's probably dark enough. I'm going to make a stem on my apple. And in the drawing, it came out over there. So just draw that like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And I might have a dot or two of dark color in my bananas, just because they usually do have some dark color. All right, now I'm going to get some yellow and mix it with some of one of these puddles of blue that's on my palette. It honestly does not matter what color you mix it with. You can even mix it with some green. We just need a very pale light green color. There's a lot of water in there. Let's see, it's not really showing good on my palette because it is very light. Let me see if I move it over here. Does it show up better? Kinda. It's just a light green color. I'm going to paint these circles here and make them look more like grapes. And that's my painting done. Now, excuse me, one thing that I can do to enhance this is I can take a black pen, a fine point marker, and go and just add some detail to it and make it have a little bit more sense or meaning. And if you want to, you can do that. I typically do, and especially at this point, we're not that many steps removed from the realism or the representational. So if you're still feeling that need to impose some kind of a sense or meaning into this, you can use your pen and do that. But remember, we're working toward abstract. So if you can leave it just like that, or maybe only add some pen markings where they kind of help it along, but still maintain its abstractness. Let's see if I can pull out my pens here and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take this one here, and I might want to enhance this bowl a little bit. But I'm not going to change where I drew my lines because they're given this wonky shape to this, but they also really look kind of cool when you're looking at it and thinking of it from the standpoint of we're making an abstract. So I'm going to do a couple of my grapes over here, and I'm going to outline this apple. And the apple is outside of the bowl, so it'd be hard to be more abstract than that. I'm going to go ahead and do this leaf. I'll do that stem and this leaf. That gives it a little bit of a shape. I drew a leaf shape on there, even though my paint's not exactly inside of where I outlined. It's okay because that is part of enhancing the abstractness. Now I'm going to also outline a little bit on this banana. And it looks more banana-ish like that, but also I haven't been very careful to outline only where I painted. And I'm going to actually draw in some grapes that I didn't even paint here. And I'm going to put a little bit of a thing that you might see at the top of the grapes right on there with the pen. That's pretty good. I might go ahead and outline some of these over here just because, but you don't have to outline all of them, and you don't have to outline them exactly correct. And while this is still looking enough like a bowl of fruit, it looks like, maybe you had started your wine way too early in your paint process, but but it still looks abstract. It's fun. And because we put this pretty color on here, it looks like a picture, a fun and abstract one, but it looks like a picture. It doesn't look like someone just drew a big mess and mashed their fruit bowl down. That is one way to do this, and this is one way. So those are your two samples of that type of abstract, starting with See, I just realized why I can't get them both in the frame there. Starting with a blind contour drawing. So that is step 2 in moving away from realism and representational towards the non-representational, moving along our abstract line, away from realism towards abstract. That's what we're doing here. And all of this does fall under the heading legitimately of abstract painting. And if you do any research, and if you uh, call up that article that I gave you the link to and read that, you will learn a whole lot, and you'll see that this is really, really a thing. Okay, now we're going to do this one, this style. Now I want you to have a look at this. This is my fruit in a bowl. Can you see my bowl with the blue stripes on it? And there's an apple and a lemon and a peach. I forgot to show you the peach in the other one that I just painted. Oh, well. Let me go back for a second and show you what you got to do to this one. Because we painted it yellow and it got a little green in it, you take a little bit of magenta. Switch over here. I'm taking just a little bit of magenta, and it's very watery. And like we painted over the yellow there, we're going to paint over the yellow here and put a blush color on that peach, but we're going to not go all the way to the edge. And that gives it a little bit of, there, that's our peach. It would look more like a peach if I'd been looking at what I was doing, I would have put the stem over here coming out of the peach instead of out of the grapes. But again, we're doing abstract, so none of that needs to concern us at all, not in the least. So that was, what I meant to tell you of how to get the color right on your peach and on your orange. Anyhow, so, oops, we were zoomed in on purpose. So we've got a banana in this bowl. Can you see it? You can see the banana, right? Does it look like a banana? Did I draw a banana? No, I put a dash of color that represents the banana. I put a dash of color that represents the apple. I've got some dashes of color for the leaves, and some little squares for the grapes. So this is much more abstracted than the other thing, but I have a plan in my mind. So, doing an abstract isn't just you put your paper down and you start sloshing paint on with no plan whatsoever. That's not really what abstract is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you, get your next piece of paper out and get your paintbrush out again. And I think I will use my flat angled brush for this. And I'm going to, looking at my reference photo fruit bowl right there, I'm going to start this painting out by putting the stripe on the bowl. Again, I'm using blue instead of red. And this is meant to be as abstract as you can get it doing this kind of thing, just dashes of color. It honestly doesn't matter if you put this dash of color across your page like this. You can put it across your page like this. You can put it up and down. It's a dash of color that represents the line on the bowl. So I'm going to put it like that. Now I'm going to also take my time and get it like I really like it. Okay, that's a good line for that bowl. Then I need the line that goes around the pedestal in the bottom, and that's a good one for that. So I've got my dash of color, and it's blue straight out of the tube, so to speak. So it's very bright, clean blue color. And I put the lines on there. Okay, now I think I want to go ahead and put my banana in this bowl next. So rinsing all the blue out of my brush, I'm going to get some of my banana color, which in this case is quinacridone gold. And also we're not looking anymore. You can look at your paper and plan where you want to put this dash of color for this banana. And so I'm going to loosen that up a little bit so it's a little bit more gold color. And let's see, I want this banana. I'm just going to dash that banana right there. I think I'm going to have 2 bananas in this picture. So there's 2 bananas in my fruit bowl. And next I think I will put in, let's see, let me put in the apple. I'm not going to paint an apple though. I'm going to put in a dash of my alizarin crimson red color that is the color of my apple. And where I want this apple to be is right about there. That's my apple. Now I need a lemon in there too. So get the red completely out of my brush and go in my lemon color. And I think the lemon goes right there. That's a good lemon. Now, while I've got that color on my brush, I need an orange in this bowl also. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put an orange right there. And I'm going to paint red over that to turn it into my orange color. So that is my orange. And now if I'm doing that peach in this thing, my bowl's getting a little crowded, so I'm going to put the peach over here. And it, again, it's kind of a circle because the peach is a circle, but an apple's a circle too, and I painted that one a square just because I wanted to, because I'm doing an abstract. So now, let's see, lemon, orange, peach. Yep, I can rinse the yellow out of my brush. And what's left are, I might need some leaves on my peach. So I'm going to get some sap green. And I think I'm going to put some yellow in there because I would like it to be a prettier color than it is. So that's all right. I like that color good enough. No, I don't. I'm going to add some turquoise to it. Oh, that made it really dark. I don't know if I like it, but I'm going to try it and see. All right, so I need a leaf. There's not room for the leaves where the leaves are supposed to go, but that's okay because this is an abstract. So I'm going to put a leaf right there. That's one of the leaves on the um, peach, which is down here. Now the other leaf is going to have to go over here because I don't have room for it where it belongs. So there's my leaf. Those are 2 leaves for the peach. Now I need some grapes. I think I'll wait last on the grapes, and I'm going to go ahead and get the Scarlet Lake and turn my orange into an orange colored circle here, just by putting that red orange color over the top of the yellow. Okay, there's my orange. It actually looks like an orange, but it is flying around in the air. And I'm going to touch a little bit of color here just for like the navel of the orange, because I can. You know, it's my abstract. If I want my orange to have a navel, it can. Let's get some magenta and put a blush on the peach. That's a good peach blush. Because it doesn't have to, we're not going for realism. It doesn't have to be realism. Now I need some grapes, and I like what I did in my one up here. I used my color and just kind of put some grapes in that are strokes of the brush. They're not even making an attempt to be round, but they don't need to. They might need to be a little darker, so yeah, that's a good color. And I want some grapes right up in here. And a couple of grapes down here. Okay. there's my paint work done, but I'm going to put the line work in it. Remember I showed you in that article, the page about line art? Here's where we can have really a lot of fun with our lines. We can do something like this with it. Now I want to zoom in and show you how on here, I haven't really outlined those grapes. I didn't actually draw any lines in to turn that bowl into a bowl. Uh, I I just put some lines with my black fine point and maybe not so fine point. Like maybe this is ultra fine and this is just fine. I don't know. I just put some marks on there with my black pen. You don't have to use black. You can use any color marker you want to. You can you can draw circles. I sort of drew circles around my grapes, but you see I kept my line continuous. It's a continuous line going around the page here in some places. And I strayed a little bit from the grapes and went over here and put a curly Q because I thought that was a fun idea to do. And this is an abstract. We're trying to make fun and we're trying to make a line art. And I didn't outline my leaves, but I did put some lines by them and I connected them because they would be on one stem. Now they could look like a whole bunch of other things than just leaves. They kind of almost look like eyes in glasses or weird eyebrows or I don't know what, but they do. And then for fun, I put a little thing over here that kind of represents a bug because maybe there would be a fruit fly flying around this bowl of fruit. And you can have stuff that you could draw an ant that looks like an ant in your abstract because it might either you're doing surrealism or you're just doing this line art thing where let me see if I can find that paper again and show you on that page. um, Especially this one down in the bottom here. These are just continuous line drawings. Now there's nothing there's a little bit of an realistic appearance. I mean they do represent, you can tell it's meant to be a chicken or a rooster and a ram and a cow and a duck. You can see that, but they're not really drawn to be realism. And the same with these other things. This bunch of lines is just a bunch of lines. This though, there's some stuff going on there, but it isn't. This is not really a portrait. This is a face. These are faces, and they're at different angles. But this is not meant to be a portrait of a person. It's line art with color added. This is just lines with just lines, no color. But anyway, that gets you the idea of what we're doing here. We're just going to add some lines. So this is probably dry enough to draw on it now. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that sometimes our work needs to kind of gel. It needs to set up, and you need to give it time to talk to you and tell you where it wants to have some lines. Like I can look at this right here and see that I like how that came out, and I got a vague idea of how I can put some lines around that, but that idea isn't totally in my head yet. So I'm not going to draw on it yet. I'm going to let this gel a bit. And that is what I did with this one. So that's why I have a finished one here to show you. This is what ideas came to me as I took some time, more time than we actually have right now. But I took some time and thought about this, and I thought a little triangle right there would be good. Another one right beside it would be good, until I ended up, I had this weird line of going. And then I thought, well, okay, let's see what happens if I connect all those triangles and draw a line up around it here. And then I stopped working on that and I went and put this curlicue thing on and I liked it. So I put one over here and I liked that. And then I started looking at it and I thought, well, I don't want to do exactly the same thing over here. What can I do different? And I drew this square on there. But then I thought it was boring with just a square on there. And I thought, what else can I do? I got a thicker pen, a bigger marker, and drew a thicker line square on the inside. And I thought, yeah, that's getting there. I like how that looks. It still needs something. I don't know what it needs. Let me go work on something else for a minute. I think we get some dots right here. That's how this comes about. Just looking at it and thinking, what does it need? I don't know. And you can't really rush this. So you just take your time and you think of what you want to put in different places. And if you need to set it aside and go back to work on something else, I almost always have more than one thing going at a time, which allows me work on this one a little and then work on this one a little. And that's kind of why I've got us with all of these pieces going all at one time here. I could be working on this, and and this all at the same time, looking and comparing notes and saying, what do I need here? What do I need there? Uh, what will make this piece take it to the next step? What's the right thing? So that's part of the process there. So I'm going to go ahead and set, let's see, this one goes back over here. I'm going to set this one aside for the moment. Unless, are we at a point anyone wants, we have one more painting to make and it's going to be messy. So now's a good time. Does anyone want to show any of the pieces you've done so far? And you have to unmute and speak up, and that way yours will pop onto the screen. So I see Bobby
That
showing
is
one.
mine.
That's looking pretty. I like it. Okay. Someone else?
Hi, this is Beth. I didn't use watercolor paper, but I did your exercise. It was fun.
You've got the right idea happening. And if you do that on watercolor paper and your paper doesn't buckle quite as much, but you know what? That doesn't look bad, even though your paper buckled a little.
Yeah, it was a fool around.
Yeah. Well, it's a good exercise.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
Anyone else?
This is Mercedes.
Good one.
That looks
Okay.
beautiful.
So I saw yours, Mercedes. And
I'm
this
here.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got one.
very
is
nice.
mine.
Here's one.
I didn't know if you could see it.
Here's two.
Do I have
Okay, I see Lynn's.
Sarah,
have-
turn your
Very
camera
nice,
on.
what?
Thank you.
Turn
Lenny,
your camera on, Sarah.
I think Sarah is logged in twice and we're getting a bit of an echo. One has the camera on and the other one does not.
Because
Because
I
I
have
have to go on my cell because my computer doesn't have a
I see.
thing. But can you see it? I don't know.
I
if-
see it. Very nice. It's the light's not great, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing it. Okay,
Thank you.
anyone else before we move to the next? Okay, Jackie, you have to talk.
Well, yes, there's mine. That was fun. I like doing that.
Okay, very nice. Okay, I'm going to take back over again here. And we're going to move to the last one, which is the one that's super abstract. This is the kind of thing that most of us think of when we think of abstract. We think of something really messy like this. And a lot of times you'll hear people say, I've heard people say, I've been in company with someone where I've seen what I consider to be a really bad abstract, and almost wanted to agree with it when someone says, oh man, my toddler could paint that, my cat could paint that, or my cat can paint better than that. I mean, not all people appreciate abstract art. If you don't appreciate it, you don't see anything in it. And if I didn't have a daughter who's got a fine art degree and we've had long conversations, I wouldn't really have ever realized that there is actually some meaning and some planning and something behind most of those abstracts, especially the famous ones. And I can now name a few abstract artists that I do appreciate their work and find it interesting and pretty, but it's not ever going to be the thing that I'm mostly interested in painting. And to do painting like this was a fun exercise, and I had fun doing it. And I think this is nice, but it's not my thing, you know. It's not what I love to do. But I can tell you that this wasn't just a bunch of paint splatter on this paper. So we're going to do this um, on a, I hope you've got another piece of paper. Hopefully you've got this one taped down to something, because this is going to get messy. So what we're going to do here is very similar to what we've already done. I am, however, going to start off with spraying some water on my paper. Now I have two spray bottles here. This one gives a really fine, even mist, and this one makes really splatty water spraying out. And I'm going to use this one because I want something kind of, not even. So I just sprayed some water on my paper. If I tilt it, I don't know if the light will catch it. There, you can see it's just kind of splats of water. Um, so I'm going to then take my my big round brush, and I'm going to do just what I did on the other thing we just finished. I'm going to say, okay, my fruit bowl, back to the main picture here. My fruit bowl has a stripe of color on it, and it's blue. So I'm going to get some blue on my brush. But rather than painting a stripe, I'm going to just splatter some blue on there. I mostly like that, but let me just do some dashes of color like that. Okay, that's the stripes on my bowl. Pretty, huh? Okay, now I need, again, I do want a banana in this bowl. So I'm going to get some of this quinacridone color, and I'm going to put a banana right there. And I'm kind of loose and free with that. Just there, that's a banana. Now, in case my banana has spots, let me put some spots like that. And
Christine, I'm sorry to interrupt. I had someone at the door. What is the blue exactly?
What is that blue?
Yeah, what does that represent?
That's the stripe on the bowl. That's the blue stripe on the bowl.
I'm so sorry. It's so abstract. I couldn't.
But we're taking it to the next level here.
Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Did you see this picture?
I did.
This is what we're doing.
Well, okay, I'm trying.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now I have some purple spots on my banana because it might be getting rotten. So there's my purple spots on my banana, my dark spots. Okay, now we need, let's see here. I think I'll put the red apple in next. So I'm going to get a lot of really juicy red color on my brush, and I'm just going to splat some color on there. Okay, that's my apple. I think I like it just like that. Done. Apple is done. Now I need a lemon. So lemon yellow. A lot of juicy paint, because if you're splattering, you can't splatter if your paint's not good and wet. So I've got some yellow here, and I'm going to, let's see what I want to do with this. I'm just going to put this yellow right here. That's my lemon right there. I just decided it's sticking up a little bit more. There, that's my lemon. Okay, now I have to put an orange in, and the orange isn't going to work quite as well this way as it did on the other one. So I'm going to just see if I can get some yellow coming off the brush right there. And into that yellow, I'm going to put some of my Scarlet Lake. Don't have quite enough paint. There we go. Okay, Scarlet Lake right there. And I'm going to hit it with my mister bottle. There, look at that. Ooh, that did something cool. It looks more orange on my paper. Let's see if I zoom in. Can you see it? a little bit. Also, I got this straw and I'm going to blow that paint around a little bit. Okay, there's my orange. Okay, now, um, got a lemon, I got an orange, I got an apple. I need a peach. Oops, wrong brush. I need a peach, and it also starts off with yellow. So I'm going to just put some yellow on there, and then I'm going to put some magenta into that. That looked like a good thing to do, to get a peach on there. And I think all that's left, oh, I need a couple of leaves. So I'll get some of my leaf color here, scoop that all up and see if I can make some of that fall onto the page. Okay, leaves are on there. Now I need some grapes. So I'm going to use this color and I'm going to lighten it up a little bit more with a little bit more yellow, just to distinguish it from the other colors. I distinguished too much though, so a little bit more blue back in there. All right, got that really watery, and I'm going to put some grapes in a couple of places. We need grapes all in there, and I think I want some grapes right there. And let's put a grape right there, and a big bunch of them right there. And I'm going to hit that with the spray bottle from up high, because I don't want them to go very far and they're
Hang up.
running.
For this art class.
Okay. Now I'm going to hit that because I didn't like how it was blobby. And get my straw out again.
It was great. Hold on a minute. I have to walk away from that.
Okay, I think I like it. This has too much. I think that doesn't have any definition in it. So I'm going to just dot in. What do I want here? I'm going to put some of the dark color that was my spots on my banana. Now it's really, really, really wet, so it's really going all over the place. But it has more interest now. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone for a little bit just to see if I end up liking it. It looked like a big mess, but you know, most abstract looks like a big mess to me, especially when we get it this abstract. When that dries, it will have morphed and done some things for some mixing and some stuff. And if I have parts that I don't really like, I can still go back in and paint over it. I can lift color. I can get something with texture. Like maybe if I had a little piece of netting that you sometimes buy produce in at the grocery store, it comes in a little net bag. You could get a piece of that net bag and dip it in your paint and spread it on your picture and kind of imprint that net pattern on there. That might be an interesting addition to this. But you know, it's again, we're at the stage of where it sort of needs to gel, and let you, um, your painting will talk to you and tell you what else you want to put on it. And we're kind of exploring and experimenting, and there's a lot of ways you can incorporate just the joy of having a bowl of fruit with the way you dash your color on there, with the color choices that you make, with how you let them blend, all that kind of stuff. And all that plays into when you're creating an abstract. So that is my take on how to do an abstract bowl of fruit, 4 different ways. And I think I'll move this one out of the way and put my finished and dry ones back all in the frame so we can see the progression.
Christine, I don't know
Yes.
about everybody else on here, but this was fun. I thought this was really fun and different, and everything goes, and they all look so nice. So what's people's verdict? Did you like doing this one? Anybody want to comment? You can turn on your.
I liked it. I thought it was fun and interesting. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
Definitely.
too, a lot of fun.
Doing it. A
Okay.
great time. Yeah, it was
Good.
a lot of fun.
Good.
So we've got
I
some,
enjoyed it very much.
some budding abstract artists here.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm more abstract than I would like to be.
Well, there truly is a lot that you can learn from taking a little time to do some abstract work, and loosen up. Let's see, what have I got going on here? There, hopefully I've got these where you can see all of them. Oh, I think I have a different. Is that, yeah, that works. Writing is over top of it, but you can see it all there.
Mhm.
I'll just switch over there really quick if I can find my mouse. Where did my mouse go? There it
I
is.
like the semi-abstract the best.
I think that if I'm ever going to do much abstract, I would paint semi-abstract.
Mhm.
This one is unique and interesting, and it was a fun experiment, but this is
Yeah.
not my thing.
Right.
I love how this one came out.
Yeah.
This one, I thought this just looks cool, and it was fun to do. This
Yeah.
one was kind of fun too. This one I'm most comfortable with, but getting out of our comfort zone is sometimes a good thing to do. And
Mhm.
doing one like this and then switching to do this and take it to this and push yourself to get to this, you will learn some things. I love to teach people to draw, and people are telling me, well, I don't want to draw. I don't want a drawing lesson. Why do we draw if what we want to do is paint? It's because that drawing informs our painting. It gives us information we need to know to improve our painting. Well, so does this exercise. This blind contour drawing, I get so much out of that. And I have 4 or 5 large, big, thick sketchbooks full where I've done blind contour drawings for 30 years. I love it. I've got some that I look at them and I remember right where I was when I drew that vase of chrysanthemums. It brings me back to the moment, and my husband looks at it and he thinks, you can't show that to people. They're going to think you don't know how to draw. Well, the fact of the matter is, this will get you some information, and it may even help push you over the top into that point where you can put emotion into your painting, even though your painting may be more representational rather than non-representational. But remember to think of it as there's a line, and over here's realism and representational, and over here, where is it? There, oh, on this side, I need a bigger picture so my line can be longer. But anyway, going from this side to this side is a line, and you call that line abstraction. And if you're going from, let's see, what did I say? This side is realism and representational, and this is non-representational. How far along that line you are? Are you closer to to represent to yeah, are you closer to non-representational or are you closer to representational? It's still abstracted, it's just degrees of abstraction. So you can go anywhere from this to this and be doing an abstracted type of work. And if you really take the time to study it, you find out they got names for all these movements: Fauvism, Cubism, Surrealism, Expressionism, Impressionism, Pointillism. All of those things are movements that came about as people worked their way from along that line from realism into the more abstract. And you learn to improve your technique for putting paint on your paper. You learn what your paints will do when they mix together like this. You learn how that your line does not need to be exactly perfect to be beautiful, and for there to be beauty in your painting. You learn you don't even really necessarily have to fully define each thing that you're doing. Just a dab of color to represent it may be just enough to put the idea in your viewer's mind that, okay, there's an apple over there, and they may never even realize or look at it closely enough to see that you didn't actually draw and paint an apple, you just put a dab of color there, but it still reads as apple in the mind and looks pretty. So there's a lot of good you can learn from doing this type of I hate to call it exercise because that sounds like, we're practicing. You're not actually practicing. We created real art today.
Can I say something?
Yes.
One of the things that I see from the 4 pictures is your sense of color. So that you have a really beautiful sense of color. And as I was copying you and working, trying to get the kind of color that you did on, especially on the 4th piece, the abstract piece, your sense of color is bright and beautiful. And, I'm looking at mine and I'm seeing that I need a little bit more, I need to learn a little bit more about color and how to put it together. So I think that's another way of looking at not the painting itself, but not to see the painting, but to see the color, how the colors are combined and mixed together, taking it from the realism to the abstract. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do, and that's a really good point too, because as you work through these things, you are learning about color.
Mm-hmm.
And you studying color theory is like studying abstract. There's no way you can scratch the surface of it in an hour and a half of time. But the more you have time to put into studying that, the more you can get with someone that knows about it and study what they can tell you and practice playing with, there's all kind of exercises where you can pick 3 colors, any 3 colors, and just paint a whole painting with those 3 colors, and then pick 3 different colors and paint the same painting and see how those colors interact with each other and what all you can do with it and how you can express different moods and different atmospheric conditions and just create all kind of different things just by changing up your colors. It's art is a never ending playground. There's so much to learn, so much to explore, so much to have fun with, and I really appreciate you guys joining us for these sessions. This is so much fun.
Awesome.
I have a blast doing the classes, but I also learn a whole lot just from the preparation that I put into preparing for the class. It's really fun. And just a quick plug, I am putting some of this kind of stuff. I'm going to record. I recorded this, and I'm going to put this on